Welcome back to the show. I want you to settle in for this one. Maybe you're walking right now, maybe you're driving, maybe you're just lying in bed with your headphones on. Wherever you are, I want you to give yourself permission to really listen, because what we're going to talk about today has the power to change the way you live the rest of this year. Let's start with something we all know too well. Picture the first week of January. New notebooks, fresh planners, shiny pens, and a big burst of optimism. You're ready. This is the year. You write down goals. Lose weight, learn a new skill, start a side hustle, read more books, save money, eat healthy, finally get your life together. The energy feels unstoppable. You wake up early, you're committed, you almost convince yourself that you've already transformed just by writing the list. And then what happens? A few weeks pass, maybe a month, and the whole thing collapses. The planner collects dust. The gym membership still charges your card, but you stop going. The language app sends notifications you ignore. And you're left feeling guilty, frustrated, and wondering, what's wrong with me? Why can't I stay consistent? That cycle isn't rare. It's the norm. Most people go through it again and again. We assume the problem is us. We call ourselves lazy. We say we lack discipline. We tell ourselves we're not good enough. But here's the truth, the problem isn't that you're weak or lazy. The problem is that you've been using the wrong strategy all along. See, most of us build our entire self-improvement journey on motivation. Motivation feels amazing in the beginning. It's like fuel injected straight into your veins. You watch an inspiring video, read a powerful quote, or see someone else succeed, and suddenly you're pumped. You're ready to change everything overnight. But motivation is like a sparkler, bright and exciting for a moment, then it fizzles out and leaves you in the dark. If you depend on that spark to power your life, you'll keep ending up in the same place. So what actually works? The answer is systems. Small, repeatable systems. Daily habits so simple they almost feel too easy. Systems don't depend on how you feel on any given day. They just happen. And over time, those systems compound into real change. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine you want to learn a new language. Most people go in with big ambition, I'll study 1 hour every day. It sounds impressive. But life gets busy. Work piles up, stress builds, you're tired, and suddenly an hour feels impossible. You skip a day, then another, and then the streak is gone. Motivation fades, and so does the habit. That's the goal-focused, motivation-heavy approach. Now imagine you take the systems approach. Instead of promising an hour, you commit to something ridiculously small, 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes every day. You can do that no matter how busy you are. You tell yourself, even if it's just 1 page, or 1 podcast, or 10 new words, I'll do it. What happens? Because the bar is so low, you don't give yourself excuses. And often, once you start, you go longer than 5 minutes. But even on the days you don't, you've kept the chain alive. And that's how habits stick, not through grand promises, but through tiny systems repeated consistently. Same with fitness. Think about all the people who buy gym memberships in January. The parking lot is full, the machines are crowded, and you have to wait to use anything. Fast forward 6 weeks and the place is half empty. Why? Because people tried to flip their whole lifestyle overnight. A system-based approach would look different. Maybe you lay out your workout clothes next to your bed at night, so it's the first thing you see in the morning. Maybe you say, I'll go to the gym and walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes. It sounds silly, but here's the trick. Once you're there, you usually end up doing more. And even if you don't, you've still kept the identity alive. You are someone who goes to the gym. That's the real win. And that brings me to something powerful: identity. Systems aren't just about reaching a goal. They're about becoming the kind of person who lives that way. Goals say, I want to run a marathon. Systems say, I'm a runner. Goals say, I want to learn Spanish. Systems say, I'm someone who studies languages every day. The shift is subtle but life-changing. Because when you focus on identity, the small actions stop feeling like chores. They feel like part of who you are. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think building systems has to be complicated. It doesn't. In fact, the simpler, the better. There are 3 rules I like to use. First, start stupidly small. If you want to meditate, start with 1 minute. If you want to write, start with 1 sentence. If you want to work out, start with 1 push-up. Make it so easy you can't say no. Second, attach it to something you already do. After brushing your teeth, do your 1 push-up. After making coffee, write your 1 sentence. This creates a natural trigger. And third, focus on consistency, not intensity. 5 minutes every day beats an hour once a week. Because what matters most isn't how much you do, it's how often you show up. Let me give you a personal example. There was a time when I wanted to get into writing. I told myself I'd write for an hour every morning. Sounds great, right? Guess how long that lasted? Less than a week. Then I changed my approach. I told myself, just 1 sentence. That's all. 1 line in a blank document. Most days, once I typed that 1 line, more ideas came. Sometimes I ended up writing for half an hour. Other times I stopped at the 1 sentence. But the habit stuck. Over months, that system produced thousands of words. Not because I forced myself through discipline, but because I lowered the bar enough to make it doable every day. The same applies to health. Think about diet. People go all in, cutting out carbs, sugar, dairy, everything. They last a week, maybe 2, then crash and binge. A system-based approach is gentler. You don't overhaul your diet overnight. You just add 1 healthy thing. Maybe 1 apple a day. 1 glass of water before every meal. Tiny actions that seem too small to matter but stack up over time. And because they're so easy, you actually stick with them. This is the beauty of systems. They respect human nature. We're not machines. We get tired, stressed, distracted. Motivation rises and falls. Life throws curveballs. But systems are like rails on a track. They keep you moving forward even when the train runs out of steam. Let's talk about work and productivity for a minute. How many times have you sat down to do a big project and felt overwhelmed? The deadline looms, you don't know where to start, and you procrastinate. Systems solve that. Instead of saying, I need to finish this whole project today, you build a system like, every morning I'll work on it for 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes. Over weeks, the project gets done with far less stress. This is how authors finish books, how entrepreneurs build businesses, how students survive exams. Not through bursts of all-nighters, but through steady systems that accumulate. Now let me address something important: quick fixes. We live in a world addicted to them. 30-day challenges, 2-week transformations, 10-day detoxes. They sound exciting, they grab attention, and they give us that hit of motivation. But here's the reality: quick fixes rarely last. They're like crash diets for your life. You see results fast, but as soon as the challenge ends, you go back to old habits. Why? Because you never built a system. Real change doesn't come from a 30-day sprint. Real change comes from boring, unsexy, everyday consistency. It's not glamorous, but it works. I want you to imagine something. Imagine two people. One does a huge workout once a week. The other does a tiny workout every day, 10 push-ups, a short walk. After a month, the first person might look like they're ahead. But after a year, the second person wins, every time. Because consistency beats intensity. It's like compound interest. Small deposits, day after day, grow into something massive. And maybe you're thinking, but what if I mess up? What if I miss a day? Listen, systems aren't about perfection. They're about averages. Missing one day doesn't matter. Missing two doesn't matter. What matters is not quitting entirely. The real danger isn't failure, it's giving up. So if you slip, just reset. The system is still there, waiting for you. Here's a little mental trick I love: never miss twice. If you skip a workout today, fine. Just don't skip tomorrow. If you forget to study your 5 minutes today, okay. Just do it tomorrow. This one rule keeps the system alive, and it prevents the spiral of guilt that makes most people quit. So let's bring it back to you. Think about your own life. What's one area you've been struggling with? Maybe it's health, learning, work, relationships. Whatever it is, ask yourself, what's the tiniest system I can build around this? Not the big goal, not the dream outcome, but the smallest repeatable action. Then tie it to something you already do. And then just show up, every day, even if it's tiny. That's it. That's the formula. Before we wrap up, I want you to sit with a question. Don't just think about goals. Think about identity. Who do you want to become by the end of this year? Not, I want to lose 10 pounds, but, I'm someone who takes care of my health. Not, I want to learn Spanish, but, I'm a person who studies languages every day. Not, I want to write a book, but, I'm a writer. When you focus on identity, the systems make sense. Every small action becomes a vote for the person you want to be. And that's the real secret. It's not about chasing motivation. It's not about punishing yourself when you slip. It's about quietly, consistently building systems that pull you toward the life you want. One tiny step at a time. So here's my challenge to you. Before this day ends, choose one system. Just one. Something so small it feels almost silly. Commit to it. Attach it to your day. And start. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because a year from now, you'll look back, and you won't just see progress on a goal. You'll see a new identity. You'll see a life that feels different, not because of one big leap, but because of 1,000 tiny steps. And maybe, when you realize that, you'll smile and think, wow, I'm already living the life I used to dream about.